Hi, I live in chemistry. Today we're going to be conducting some general acid reactions, some demos. Fortunately, you guys would have had a slight chance of doing it this week, but obviously we've been locked down as of Wednesday. So I'm going to do the demo for you guys, and you can observe the reaction and conduct the observations and conclusions in your handout. So we'll be doing 5 reactions, and for the first reaction we have got a metal and an acid. We'll be using a large test tube that's stoppered, rack, 2 centimetres of magnesium metal, some dilute hydrochloric acid and some matches. Okay, just going to pop the magnesium ribbon straight into the tube, grab our hydrochloric acid, grab onto our stopper, pour about 2 centimetres worth of acid into the tube, stopper, see what you can see down the bottom there. Just give that a bit of a shake, just to stimulate the reaction a little bit. Okay, now that we've had a bit of a time for the reaction to go, I'm going to light a match, and we're going to pop open the top of the stopper of the tube and put the match inside. Just observe what happens. There you go. So you can see the pressure in the tube actually popped the stopper off, but what you see is what you get, and that was what we were after. Alright, reaction 2, we have metal hydroxide and an acid. Small test tube, and a rack. I have dilute sodium hydroxide, some universal indicator, and some hydrochloric acid. Right, let's go. Okay, so we've got our small test tube and our solutions. Okay, so the first step is to add 5 drops of 0.1 mole of sodium hydroxide to our tube. Okay, next step is to add 2 drops of universal indicator. Just get you to observe that colour. There we go. It's in fact a bit hard to see, but it is a very dark blue. Okay, so our next step is to add some drops of 1.1 molar hydrochloric acid. So we've got our base, our universal indicator, and now our acid. And I'm just going to add some drops until we see a colour change. Okay, there you go. So just report the observations of the colour change and what you think's happened there. For reaction 3, we have a metal oxide added to an acid. So we have a small test tube rack, micro spatula, copper oxide, dilute hydrochloric acid, universal indicator, test tube holder, Bunsen burner, heat-proof mat, and some matches. Okay, so we add 2 mils of hydrochloric acid to the test tube. Want to just be a couple of centimetres high. Okay, that's a pretty good amount. Now we add a small spatula of copper oxide, which is this black powder. Drop that in. Now get our test tube holder. And that's what we've got there. So it's like a very black charcoaly solution. Gently heat this over the Bunsen burner. Just observe what you can see. Okay, so it's a bit hard to see on camera, but that colour has gone from a black, I'm just going to shine a torch on it. There's a colour change there. Now I'm just going to add some universal indicator to that. Just bear with me a second. Turn off the Bunsen burner. Now I'm going to add a couple of drops of universal indicator. That's the colour change that you've got there already. Looks a bit lighter. Now I'm just going to add some universal indicator to that. Now that copper oxide is still quite dark. It kind of mixes in with that colour. What I'm seeing there, which is not that easy to see in the video, is that it's slightly red with the universal indicator. And you guys decide based on a colour chart of universal indicator. I'll just grab that out. So it's a bit hard to see though with that copper oxide still in there a little bit, but there is definitely a redder colour in there. Okay. For reaction 4, we have a metal carbonate and an acid reacting together. I'm using large test tube, rack, spatula, small beaker of marble chips, dilute hydrochloric acid, matches, and a taper. Okay, so we have our marble chips. I'm going to trace a couple of those in the large tube. We have our hydrochloric acid. Add a few drops, enough to cover the chips. Just going to let that react for a minute. You can see what's going on there. I'm just going to show you. I just want to observe what's going on there. What you can see. Now I'm going to light a taper. Okay, and now with this taper, I'm going to insert it into the tube. Oh, maybe let it stay alight for a bit longer. Place it in. And immediately, there you go. So maybe just to observe what you saw there. For reaction 5, we'll be doing a metal hydrogen carbonate with acid, large test tube, rack, spatula, sodium bicarbonate, hydrochloric acid, matches, and a taper. Okay, so we have a large tube. We're putting a spatula of sodium bicarbonate into the tube. We'll add a hydrochloric acid to a depth of 2 centimeters. Oh, it's quite a bit. It's all right. Just Just observe what you can see. Now I'm just going to light another taper. Sometimes these tapers don't like to stay lit. I'm going to place that inside the test tube. That's it for the experiments. There is an experiment 6 and 7. You just need to write the equations for those ones, and the others just have your observations, your word equations, the full equations, and the ionic equations listed on your prac handout.